Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartending coming to you from Key Largo. It is Sunday, 2 p.m. approximately. Um, I am changing my feed back to Keys Bartender for the duration of until we get some things straightened out. I'm currently with a production company uh, that I guess they have a lot of things going on right now, but I if I don't get with all these shows that I do. I've been doing. I don't know. If some of you are listening. I'm getting some decent following on Spreaker, but it's not distributing all the way over to uh, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and things like that. So I am sending. We're going back to the Keys Bartender for the duration of this until we get that resolved with my production company. Obviously, we're not. I'm not trying to sell anything right now. Um, there's going to be no sponsors, so we're just dealing with what we have to deal with now. And I understand. You know what? Everyone has a Facebook Live thing going, but I have been doing the show for over. It'll be 3 years next month when I originally started the show, and I thought it was something else. And I had, gosh, a lot of things I talked about sounded trivial considering what we're going through today. But now's not the time to talk about that because there's plenty of experts, and I think from now on I'll just be talking about my limited experiences. I won't be giving out any advice. If you're listening to the show, hopefully you're smart enough to know that you shouldn't be going out in the big crowds, trying to flatten out that curve and all that stuff. And I'm not going to pass on some specious medical information. I've been seeing doctors who have their own Facebook Live things down here, and whether true or not, that's their purview. Mine is bartending and conversation. So there you have it. And I'm a bartender without a bar right now. That there are probably several bars that are still open. There's private bars. There's bars that are owned. Once you shut the doors to the public, you pretty much could do whatever you want. If you are one of those places, please be cognizant of your surroundings, and you're smart people out there. You can't decide to think just because you're tough that you're going to be able to resist this illness. And here I go again, giving you advice again. But what are you doing instead? In the stead of your regular life? Some people are working from home. I guess there's around here in the Keys, there's still construction going on. There are guys that do, lawn services. They're, trimming trees, cutting lawns, and they have fucking leaf blowers. They are worthless. All you do is kick up fucking dust and you blow the dust over someplace else. I mean, the old system of raking leaves, that was the way to go. Now they use it just to blow the dirt off a bike path down here or whatever, and they blow it to, they spread it around to everyone around them. So if you ever been in the Keys and stuff like that, you just wash your car and you drive down the road, and then you're going past like 4 different fucking leaf blowers just blowing dust, coral dust up in the air. And I haven't been I haven't been tested for it, but I think that I am allergic to coral dust because every time I'm outside and when I come inside the next day, I'm feeling it. But it still doesn't stop me from going outside and doing the things I need to do. So during this time where I actually looked for some work, and I figure I'll just pass on this. Whatever, I do have some people listening out there. Matter of fact, yesterday I got a nice note from someone who's living in California that used to live here in the Keys, and her daughter from San Francisco came across our podcast, and I guess she's looking at older episodes or things like that. And if you are a listener and you know other people that are listeners and stuff like, if you can share this will be a different feed. This will be, if you go to the website, this will be Keys Bartender instead of Florida Keys Bartender, and at least I don't have to go through the feed of my production company right now, who for some reason I have to download it to Dropbox, and it's very hard to do once you produce a live show. And it doesn't really matter if it's live or not, does it? If you enjoy listening to it, if you want to hear some of the stupid shit that I do. So right now, this is one of the things I do. I spend my time podcasting and trying to take people's minds off things by talking about 5 minutes about shit that you already worry about. But this morning, obviously, when you get used to, I'm getting used to this, what do you call this, stay-at-home order. And if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr, you'll know that we posted the viral sensation Stay the Fuck at Home song, and I played it on yesterday's episode. But you know what? Maybe I'll play it for you today. I have it right here. And since this is a different one, I think we get to hear this until this guy comes up with a, I got a film, Florida Keys Film Actors Crew. They just bombarded my Facebook site. Let's see what we got here. This guy is hilarious. He looks like David Letterman. Let me play it for you.
Franklin for these lyrics.
Here we go. Let me start over again. Here you go.
Thank you to Chris Franklin for these lyrics. The world has caught a virus, so I've written you a poem. We need your help to cure it, so stay the fuck at home. And if you have got 12 kids or you're living on your own, lock it down and isolate and stay the fuck at home. If you think you're not at risk here, you're living in a dome. It spreads faster than a hooker's leg, so stay the fuck at home. I need the gym, I need the beach, I hear you bitch and moan. You need to grow a brain cell and stay the fuck at home. But I feel fine, I don't feel sick. I'll go out on my own. How thick are you, you selfish prick? Please just stay the fuck at home. From LA through to Berlin, from Wuhan to Rome, there's people dying every day, so stay the fuck at home. If you need to contact family, use Facebook, Skype, or phone. We've got the fucking internet, so stay the fuck at home. The only way to slow it down is isolate, not roam. Please help the world get back on track and stay the fuck at home. Stay the fuck at home, stay the fuck at home. Don't you be a fucking dick, please stay the fuck at home. Stay the fuck at home. Franklin for these lyrics.
Words to live by here. I still don't know the guy's name. I mean, everyone else they're flipping out at Tiger King. I like this guy. He looks like fucking Letterman. And I like how he rolls that, you fucking prick, rolling that. That really brings it home. The guy looks like he's around 80 years old. But, yep, he brings it home there. That's my sentiments too. And I was talking to my show yesterday how my neighbor's teenage daughter jumps in a car full of guys, and they take off. They go doing whatever they're doing. 2 carloads of kids doing what kids do best, not giving a fuck. And you know what? I guess if you're a kid, you don't know what. And then I don't want to hear this shit though when you're an orphan. If your parents die or you lose your grandparents, I don't want to hear you fucking crying. Because you were just a selfish asshole and not worry about it. But then again, if you are ignorant, you don't know about it, then more power to you. Go and watch the fucking Tiger King. And I watch that. You know, you got to be careful. We are stuck at home and stuff. Maybe if you get a visceral joy from watching some meth addicted guy, and you know the amazing thing about it is that I'm not going to break it down for you. It's one of these things that, you know, because of Netflix and what, you know, 200 million Americans are now under these orders now. Obviously, you live in a country, so you got shitloads to go run and chase your fucking cows, or you know, shear your sheep and stuff like that. And I don't mean to say shave your fucking cows. You know, no, shear your sheep. You shouldn't be shaving your cows unless you have one of those. There's a variety cow out there that has long hair. I mean, it could be a bison, maybe. There could be somebody out there who has, well, hey, Jim, I have a bison and I make buffalo mozzarella. So, oh, good for you, motherfucker. No, we don't have a lot of farmers out there. All right, we do have, it sounds like we have a lot of people in California. And they, I guess, us being in the Keys and they being in California, everyone has their image of California being, you know, surfs up and all that stuff. You know, the Pacific Ocean is actually kind of fucking cold. But down here in the Florida Keys, we're actually a little further south than you guys. It's been 80 degrees here for, well, it rarely drops below into the 70s. I mean, recently had some nice weather during the evening and stuff like that, but it's always like fucking mosquito weather here. And I guess in the next couple of months or something like that, we're going to be going to what we term as Africa hot, where it's just 90 something degrees in the daytime. The sun's beating down. There's no rain. And if it does rain, it rains for like 15, 20 minutes and then come up fucking steamy as shit. I know it sounds like I'm bitching about being in paradise. They call it paradise and stuff like that. There's lots of places you can call paradise. There's fucking Hawaii. You know, that's kind of paradise. You got it's very lush over there with the volcanic soil and stuff like that. You got all those plants. You got the fucking pineapples. We have pineapples here, not in as much abundance because, especially since we're a coral island, a lot of people don't get that. I mentioned that on a previous podcast that about a week ago, before they shut down the stretch, and they did that on Friday, and we found out today they may. I heard rumors, and this is indirectly, that they had a check up at Route 1 at mile marker 112.5 when you come in the Keys. To give people that have never been in the Keys a nice description on it, you'll be able to see if you go into Google Maps, you could find the Keys. We're about, if Florida's the penis, then the Florida Keys is the, I'm going to put the visual, the ejaculate coming out of the penis. And we are explicit. I apologize if you're listening to this, folks. But we are technically not part of Florida geographically. We are an island chain made up of coral reefs. We are not part of the geographic structure of Florida. We are a coral reef off the coast of Florida. So we're more akin to the Bahamas. That's what someone said to me, and it sounds interesting enough that I'll go by that claim. I say I'm game for that. So you leave Florida. A little over 100 years ago, some eccentric billionaire at his time, a compatriot of Rockefeller, decided to build a railroad down the east coast of Florida, which was pretty much undeveloped pre-World War I. Build a railroad all the way down the east coast of Florida, and then decide to connect the Keys to the mainland by building a highway and then a series of bridges with railroad bridges to connect the mainland with Key West, which at that time was the largest city in Florida and was for a very long time the capital of Florida. So when you leave, you go all the way to the tip of Florida, you go past Miami, you come to Homestead and then Florida City, and then you have your option of going down Route 1, which you go through marshy, Everglades style lowland scrub brush stuff for about, so it's mile marker 126, and you go down all the way to mile marker 109. It's Cross Key down there, and that's, you'll find Gilbert's, and there's a bridge there called Jewfish Creek, and it takes you right into the Florida Keys. The Florida Keys really, I guess it starts at Cross Key, if you want to call it just at 109, but Key Largo starts around 107. And you can make a left or a right. If you make a left when you come off that Jewfish Creek, you got a road called 905. You go about 14 miles north. You go to North Key Largo, and that's Ocean Reef. It's a gated community of wealthy people that want to separate themselves and have their own social thing. You have to have $250,000 in order to even become a member there. I think you need a certain amount of ridiculous amount of money to be every year paid to maintain, to have a social membership. I guess a lot of people are jealous about the means of these people, but their wealth. And right now, I'll discuss this later, what happened. There's still planes landing in Ocean Reef Club, and ignoring anything about really shutting down the Keys. There's Monroe County has roadblocks at 112 and Card Sound Road, or 905. I don't know exactly where there. There's two ways to get into the Keys. When you come out of Florida City, you go left, or you go down the one I told you through the scrub brush. But left is going through Scrublands 2, a little further, but it takes you further north up near Ocean Reef. And so what they're attempting to do is take the people that don't live here, tourists, and take them out of the equation, and just have people that have property down here or live down here, have residency stickers, or a Florida Keys driver's license, or legitimate business down here, or someone left over, who has a residency sticker. Just because you have a residency sticker on your car doesn't mean you live here. I'm sure there's a bunch of people up in Miami that have residence stickers that can just drive in whenever they want. There's vacation homeowners that, they send their kids down for spring break and all that shit. They don't, we just saw that last couple of weeks. They don't really give a shit. And there's beaches up at, I posted on the last episode, it's either St. Johns County or Duval County, where they're still doing spring break on the beaches, where the county didn't shut them down. So they're doing this kind of imposed quarantine, so there was no non-Keys people here, but there is no bar for people, this exclusive club that has an airport that can handle prop and jet airplanes from landing in North Key Largo, and because they don't give a shit up there, they just do whatever they want. And they closed off first, but kind of karma-wise, they were the ones to first have the first test case, whatever you want to call it, the first certified case of coronavirus in the Keys was a woman in her 70s who I think she just came back from overseas or something like that. But it may have been the first one would have been discovered up there too, because they would have been the first one with the means to be able to be tested. And then you have, right now we have about 20 or 20 something confirmed cases in the Keys. And there's the airport in Key West where people can fly in, and they showed flights from all over. And, if they do that, where they're checking people's temperatures when they're getting on the plane to see if they have the flu. But you can be, what do you call it, asymptomatic and be contagious already. So that's what we're dealing with here in the Keys. And with it being shut down, we're a tourist economy, 60% of the people either work in the tourist industry or people that service the tourist industry, or the service the industry, the companies that service the tourists. And so they're closed. And then you have you have realtors and stuff like that. And the realtors are still posting their sites. And, one of our co-hosts here, they're still selling boats. People are selling boats, even though they closed the county and municipal docks. There's still, if you go down to, which is no big deal if you're going on the water with your boat and stuff like that. Supposedly there's people still going out on dive boats. They could be doing it privately. So I guess there's if you're on a boat and stuff like that. But I mean, I imagine that could be, if you are contagious and you're using equipment, you're on a dive boat. I don't know necessarily if that's any more unsafe or less socially distant. But if you're on a boat with someone, it's harder to maintain. If you have 6 people on a boat, that's only so big. Is there any time where you're not that close? And how much? I have no idea. But you're out on the water. Salt water is probably a pretty good disinfectant as well as sun. But like I said, we're in the Keys and we got a minimum of 20, and it's exploding the rest of the country. We see it right now. It's running. This morning was 120,000 cases with 2,000 dead, and probably this time this week, next week it'll probably be feel like 8. I'm just going to peg it at 8. Is that I don't mean to be morbid. We are a big country, so probably just have random people dying like that. So here we are. We're left with the thing. We're in the Keys. You can do some boating, go out and do this. We do a little biking. I spent my time today. My wife had me painting the vestibule of our house. We did some of it yesterday, and then we did the rest of it today, doing a little two-tone effect in there, doing a little home improvement. And then what do you do for the rest of the day? Wash the car, fix a faucet, watch some movies, go and try to get some exercise. Me, I woke up at 5:30 because I couldn't sleep because I couldn't get a hold of my production company. And I realized every show I'm putting out now since the stay-at-home order isn't going out on Spotify or iTunes or anything like that. So I decided, you know what, I'll just record and put it on my other channel that isn't fed through the production company and just have that distribute. And then hopefully I'll get people through that and be like a new show. But this is actually, even though you don't see 251 shows, if you go to, if you do find, if you like this show, if you go to Florida Keys Bartender on Spreaker, you'll find the most recent shows I recorded. And so this is episode 251, so there's at least 250 there. There may be more, there may be 260 of them. That some of them are, I have to admit, are fair at best. So I am self-aware. I'm not that enamored by the sound of my own voice that I can. But this is what I do. And I promise that if I was going to stay in the house, I'm going to try to keep myself sane by spending some time trying to figure out this medium, and I've been listening. I've been going to podcast sites. I've been networking with people, other podcasters. I'm going to be interviewing. I'm trying to figure out how to use. I got Skype, and for some reason, when I use Skype, the volume of it's very weak coming into my ear when I use my headphones, because I'm using headphones. Normally I use a mic. And if you do want anything, if you are a listener or stuff like that, and you want to create a podcast, and I did mention in one of my previous episodes, if you go to Florida Keys Bartender, and there's one called Fuck You Saturday Night Live, kind of make jokes about how everyone has a podcast, and how, I guess how untalented most of those people are. I guess that's why I'm one of them. But I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it. I mean, there's people out there spreading out germs and stuff like that. I'm not doing that, at least. You're not going to catch anything from me. I mean, except maybe a good idea here and there sometimes, and hopefully a laugh. So Robinson, that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to probably go to one of my meetings. I did mention on a previous episode that I am sober. I had originally came down here in 2007, and I was sober for 7 years. And I decided to do a little research on my own in 2014, 2015, and decided to go back out and try drinking again, like a gentleman. And that didn't work, but I was very fortunate not to deal with any repercussions, because I didn't lose my family, I didn't lose my license, I didn't lose my job, but I was slowly losing my sanity. And I always, so this past December, after a unfortunate incident where I really kind of lost control, but no one got hurt other than myself and my reputation, I decided to be sober again, live the sober lifestyle, and I go to a 12-step program, you know, the one in the first pages of the phone book. The phone book was the thing you used to go and look for phone numbers. I don't mean if you're a millennial, people say, what the fuck is a phone book? But, when you say something like that, it's AA. It's in the front of the phone book. There's 2 letters. You used to have AAA locksmith and all that shit. People put that stuff in there, but AA is actually, that worked out pretty good for them. Alcoholics Anonymous. So I, through, about 2.5 months before this pandemic hits our shores, I started becoming sober. So luckily, I'm immune. I would be immune. What I mean, I'm not immune to the virus, but if I had decided 2.5 weeks ago that I wanted to stop drinking, I think it would have been hard. It would have been hard put. I mean, this is perfect. I would have been. What time is it now? It's 2:30. Shit. I still have a can of Foster's back in my fridge from September, and my wife had a bottle of vodka she got over a week ago. I would have went through that handle of Tito's in a day and a half with this stuff, and there's about 5-6 bottles of wine in there too. I would have easily, I'm not one bottle of wine, and if I had to split, forget it. For 2 of us, I'd go through, it's easy, 3 bottles of wine. I mean, Abby would drink maybe a little more than half of it, but then I'm good. I'm good for 2 bottles. But now I don't do that. It doesn't really work for me. And it's people say, Jim, how can you be a bartender? How can you serve people and be that way? Well, most people don't have a problem like I had. Other people do. That's the reason why they have a group for this. But I drank alone, just like George Thorogood said. And when I drink alone, I prefer to be by myself. And I just love getting shit-faced and stuff like that. And that's what I did. I didn't really enjoy one drink. I don't see the purpose of it. I don't see the purpose eating one potato chip or one peanut. I like, if I get peanuts, I like a couple handfuls of it. I said peanuts, not penis. So you can joke all you want. But same thing for potato chips and stuff like that. Who eats one fucking potato chip? I don't want to, I'm not going to eat like a little, I'm not a man of moderation when it comes to things like food or drink. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing too. I spend some of my time servicing my sobriety. I think that's probably the right thing to do. And that works for me. But I'm also willing, if I had a friend come over here, I'd have no problem giving them a drink and stuff like that. I'd ask them to help themselves, because it's much easier to pour a drink when I'm at work than pouring a drink for somebody. I can pour a drink for my wife, but every so often I do feel a little tingling, like, hey, that'd be good, but all I have to do is play the tape forward. And it wouldn't be all the times, there'd probably be like 20, 30, 40 times I have no problem. And then one other time I might be getting on the road. You have to do something, or just overdo it, or just be in a shitty mood and not be able to, watch what I say and all that stuff. Because my behavior gets really bad. And I talk about it a lot, but luckily I have a lot more hope now. And it works for me. Doesn't have to be anybody. And I when I tell people about this, and I thought, now I realize I should talk about my sobriety. If you feel uncomfortable me talking about it, I understand. Maybe you should evaluate it. But I'm telling you, I know a lot of people, they were fine. They were regular customers that come in. They do 2, 3, 4 glasses of wine. No big deal. No big deal. Now, if you regularly black out drinking and stuff like that, you don't remember what you did, that you may have to reevaluate that way. What your lifestyle is like. If you do things that harms your livelihood, your health, your relationships, granted that it's a relationship you want to be in, then you want to reevaluate it. But if you go out every so often, you have a good time and stuff like that, that is, alcohol has been around for a long time. And it still will. Same thing with, I swear to God, I love pot. But I can't use it because it's going to make me susceptible to drink. So I'm off that now. Gosh, I wish I hadn't have done any of that. I wish I had no problem. Then I would have had access to that. So my girls are in. They just finished their. What did they do? Did they wash the car? No, they didn't wash the car. They washed the front of the house, bleached it out. But usually when I got to figure out, luckily I got the bike for them, but I got to figure out some activities for my wife to do, because otherwise she's going to find some activities for me to do. It's going to involve painting something, fixing something, or something like that. So if we're not, I got to decide that we're going to go for a bike ride, maybe cook something. That's just got to take some of the steam out of her engine. So, and the 13-year-old, we're getting set up in here where I do my podcast is going to be right where she's setting up for her virtual school. We're going to do some homeschooling, stuff like that. Maybe I'll do a podcast while she's doing the show, or right when she takes a break for a show. But I'd like to maybe cover a little of that. That would be interesting. We'll go to school. We learn a little about, we'll do a little civics. Maybe learn about the Black Plague. Maybe the Spanish flu. Typhoid Mary. Is that a theme? Maybe I shouldn't mention all that. And like my friend Tina says, I hope this plays. But I miss the regulars, and here's one of my regulars.
You're an ass! special.
Really? That was loud. That was really loud. What do you think of that, Dr. Tom? That is a hearty laugh. Okay, well, we're at 35 minutes. There's no reason to keep on going for this much longer. I'm going to sign off, and I hope this works out. I'll send it over to my Facebook and Twitter pages, but a lot of people that are listeners don't really necessarily follow that. Hopefully they'll be able to find this. But I'm going to sign off right now. Until then, take care, stay healthy, and try to do something interesting.